I didn't tell you the full truth. It isn't just the edited films which create the brain fog. It creates a particularly thick one, which tricks you into thinking it is normal. But in the end, the so-called brain fog is just your ability to concentrate and be mindful of natural stimuli. The problem is overstimulation. I have cut out a lot of different things over the past years, and what I consistently noticed was that I started to enjoy things like they were in the good old days again. For example, food. I quit sugar, processed food, and became vegan, and after a short period of getting used to it, everything started to taste much more fully. I quit social media, and after a while I was able to process real-life social signals again and stopped feeling invisible. I quit a lot of other sources of visual stimulation and was able to see the world with different eyes. I even quit music for 2 weeks once, while canoeing through Sweden, and I started to hear things way more intense. Going back to music was amazing afterwards. Your perception is numbed by this unnatural intense stimulation. When you're able to cut out all this overshooting bullshit, you are truly regaining your normal functioning. You are escaping the matrix. Not only in a perceptual sense, but also in a way of cutting yourself off from manipulation through advertisements and all the people on the internet who are only interested in their own financial success. I always say that everything is fine when there are still trees on this planet. No matter how hard times get, the only thing that matters is that there is something to drink, something to eat, and something to breathe. Ideally, there are also other people around to satisfy our social needs too. It is amazing that we as humans have come so far in technology, but we need to re-evaluate how much percentage of our lives this should be allowed to claim. There is a point in which the perks of technological progress for the average consumer becomes a further stressor. It can just be too much, taking us too far from our natural environment, overloading our inner workings. So I can go on and on about stimulation whatsoever. I probably mentioned it in all of my videos at some point, but what hides behind this phrase? As hinted at, stimulation is what happens at our perceptual organs, our senses. All of them were made to deal with a natural environment. Your vision is made to progress brightness and colors in their natural form. If your vision is stimulated with intense and bright colors, it is being overstimulated, which has become completely normal nowadays. For example, driving your car at night is a completely unnatural form of stimulation because of the bright lights. Just a few hundred years ago, people used freaking candles to have light at nighttime. There's a major difference nowadays. Of course, you cannot cut out essential lighting, especially in winter where the sun sets early. But every single screen is also a source of light and unnatural color combinations. There are easy measures to protect your vision. There are filters to protect your eyes. I personally also add some sort of black and white mode, which automatically cuts out every unnatural form of colorization as well. There are tutorials on the internet for basically every type of device to activate them. Taste and smell are quite obvious ones. Try to cut short on any overly intense stimulation there. Try to stick to as much unprocessed food as possible. For smells, to be honest, there's probably nothing to fear here. Smells aren't too exploited in this regard. But in cigarettes, for example, there are actually chemicals to make them smell better to some people, so be aware of something like that. I completely forgot about vapes and certain foods, especially those rich in sugar and highly processed ones, which have a certain smell to incentivize you to buy them or consume them on markets, for example, so be aware of that as well. Also, touch isn't really affected by technology. A lot of tactile stimulation is achieved in natural ways, so no problem there. Besides visual stimulation, hearing is probably most affected. Listening to music is okay, but try to keep it at a reasonable volume. There's actually another way of sensing. It is interoception. Being able to perceive your physical processes. Most of it is not consciously perceived, but it plays a huge role in addiction, giving further feedback into the perception progress involved. Everything which stimulates your senses also results in a physical reaction, which is detected and connected to these stimuli. If it is more positive than expected, it will further reinforce the reward. Through this process, the intense fixation on the addictive object can be explained, and thus why overstimulation is causing brain fog. Your whole perception will be hyperfixated on this overstimulation and will become less sensitive for normal stimulants. So also try to cut down on any substances which cause an intense bodily reaction. I'm not saying that you should cut out everything completely. But becoming aware of this overstimulation will help you understand the brain fog more and might help you reclaim more of your control. Maybe you might even go out there and find more natural stimulation as well. Less overstimulation, more natural stimulants. I will talk about natural stimulants in my next video and show you examples, which, by the way, most of my background footage is.